But what's another way to lessen the anxiety of social distancing and isolation? Your pets. Purdue researchers say pets can provide a source of social support during stressful times. Researchers at the Center for the Human-Animal Bond at Purdue have really already proven that people in contact with animals show lower blood pressure, reduced anxiety, and a general feeling of well-being. Business of Health reporter Kylie Valletta joins me now via Skype from her home in Greenwood to help us sniff out the science behind how our pets are helping us cope right now. Kylie, over to you and a friend you've got there with you.
Yeah, I landed the tough assignment today. I'm outside hanging out with my dog. So this is Murphy, and he's our family dog, of course, and he's kind of been helping us cope the last couple of weeks as we've all been trapped together and trapped inside. But I talked to Dr. Maggie O'Hare. She's an associate professor of human-animal interaction at Purdue. She says this feeling of our pets helping us, it's really not just a feeling, it's something that can be measured biologically.
What science from the field of human-animal interaction shows is that pets can actually be a unique source of social support during stressful situations. For example, studies have found that people perceive their pets as distinctive sources of social support at similar levels to what we see from significant others, family, and friends. People rate them similarly. People who have, for example, a service dog have measurably better social and emotional health. So the companionship that animals can provide is something that we can measure scientifically. And one of the things I think people are interested in is how we can measure that biologically or physiologically. And so what we see is that in stressful situations, if there's an animal there, people show what we might call a muted stress response. So they're having a lower heart rate or blood pressure, or their cortisol levels, which is a stress hormone, are lower when the animal is there.
So we've been talking about how dogs help us during social distancing. Is there any benefit in the other situation a lot of people are finding themselves in, which is working from home?
I think that's an interesting question about the effects on working from home and that companionship. I certainly think that it's creating social support. I've definitely, seen and heard stories of animals showing up in your web conference and how that can bring joy to the rest of the group on the call. We certainly do have data about just the simple effects of looking at animals can create positive changes in mood.
So what can we do at home if we have a pet to really take full advantage of that right now when we all are feeling pretty isolated?
One of the best ways to take advantage of the situation if you do have a companion animal is to cherish that and be mindful about it. So take your dog for a walk, pet your cat, watch the silly things they do, and let that bring some joy and humor to your life. I think that if we're mindful about this time, we can create a space that's really quite positive for the animal and for us in terms of that relationship.
Big picture, we know that our pets just help us feel better. What's the importance of generating actual scientific data to support that?
I think there are a few reasons why it's important to have scientific data to look at animals and human interaction. My lab does a lot of research on special areas and special populations. So, for example, therapy dogs in hospitals or service animals for those who have a psychiatric or physical disability. And the reason we need research for those special populations is because it takes science to allow those things to happen. So, for example, in hospitals, they don't just let anyone through the doors. They have to make decisions based on science. And if you can't scientifically demonstrate that a dog needs to be in a hospital, he's not going to be allowed in. So, and the same kind of goes for the service animals. If you can't demonstrate through science that a service dog is beneficial, there will be no funding for that service dog. And we know there are really long wait lists. Some places, on average, you'll wait 2 years to get a service dog. And if we don't have science behind it, those lists will remain long because the funding just won't be there.
And Gary, you may have seen the national story. I was coming out of New York that shelters near and around that city ran out of animals or were close to running out of animals because so many people adopted them. I talked to Indy Humane. They said when they issued a plea for more fostering due to COVID, they had 200 new families sign up to foster, and that was a huge increase for them. So people are just recognizing right now that these four-legged guys kind of help us feel better during this time. Back to you.
Absolutely. Great report, Kylie. Also, quickly, you've been following Indiana companies, large and small, and what they're doing to step up and help help during the crisis. One of them, Eli Lilly and Company. And I know this week Lilly announced they're continuing and actually expanding their drive-through testing.
Right, they are expanding it. So now they are testing people who are showing symptoms of COVID-19, 65 years old and older. Also, if you're under 65 and you have symptoms of COVID-19 and a serious underlying issue. And then also workers and businesses deemed essential by the state who have regular public contact as part of their job. They're also testing those people now. And of course, all of those free of charge. You still do need a physician's written order, though, to go do that.
All right, Kylie Valletta, as always, great report. Thanks for joining us.